There we go.
All right. Hello, Fit Family. How are y'all doing? We are back with episode 2 of the NICU Forum. Today we have 3 very, very special guests, some incredible parents that are going to share their NICU journey. We're going to ask them a couple of questions and we're just gonna have a good old-fashioned conversation. So if y'all will start off by introducing yourselves. Who are you? And just tell us a little bit about yourself. And we'll start off, we'll go from there.
So Manika, you want to answer first?
Okay, sure. Hello, my name is Manika Fleming. I am a mother of a 2-year-old, a now 2-year-old. I live in Greensboro. I don't know what else to share. I live in Greensboro. I don't know.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
All right, the Davis family.
Can y'all hear us?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, good. Well, I am Victoria Davis.
And I'm Jerry.
Jerry Davis. And we are from South Carolina, but we currently reside in McLeansville, which is outside of Greensboro. And we've been here for 8 years.
8 years.
8 years. We have 2 kiddos, a son, Freeman, he's 5, and a daughter, Carolina, she is 3. And I am a real estate agent in the Triad. And
I'm a teacher, Army reservist, videographer, father.
Everything.
all that
a
stuff.
lot. but yeah.
Perfect. Thank y'all. So we're going to go into asking you guys your stories. Again, this is just a conversation. Our hope is that through your story and your journey, that someone's able to really learn more about themselves, or if it's just giving someone reassurance who's currently going through it.
Right.
So thank y'all for being here. And so let's start off with Davis family. Like, what's y'all NICU story?
So do you want me to tell it? Because you said you don't really remember.
Sure. Okay. I remember. Okay, I'll go first because you probably fill in all the details. So, our daughter, when she was born, we were so excited. I remember holding her, and she was doing this thing where her arm, when I was holding her, and we just thought that it was just like baby reflexes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know what was going on. We're just happy holding her, and like she wasn't crying or anything. And then one afternoon, the nurse came into the room and was holding her and noticed the arm movement. It was like almost like a twitch movement. And and so the nurse took her away pretty much and was like, we noticed that your daughter was doing or had symptoms of seizures. And so they were telling us that she had seizures, and we were like shocked because we didn't know like what was going on. Like even with our son, like there wasn't any major issues or anything. So this caught us by surprise. I know that was one main thing that I really remember from that experience. I know you could fill in from there.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I think I was breastfeeding her, and she was kind of doing like this little like shoulder movement, and I was like, what is she doing? Like she's shimmying, like, oh Lord, Jerry done rubbed off on her already. And so, but it didn't last long, and I just didn't think anything of it. And so she did like a couple more times, like right before the chiropractor got there, because the chiropractor came to adjust her. Right before he got there, she did it, but then she stopped. And I was going to mention it to him because I thought it was kind of funny, actually, but I didn't say anything. And so they actually came to check her blood sugar because I had gestational diabetes and I was pregnant with her. So they were like, okay, we're going to go check her blood sugar. And so they took her. And when they came back, they was like, yeah, while we was checking her blood sugar, she had a seizure. And I was like, oh my God. So I was thinking she was like convulsing or whatever. And they were like, yeah, she just had like this little shoulder tick. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's been doing that like for a while, but I just thought it was like a baby reflex. And so I felt like really bad because I was like, my daughter was having a seizure, and I was kind of like making jokes about her little shoulder tick. And so I was just like, oh my God, like, I feel so bad. And she was like, it's okay. Like, most people don't know that it's a seizure unless, work with babies. And so they were trying to figure out, like, why she was having it. So they were like, well, we're gonna do a spinal tap. And I was just like, oh, do you have to do a spinal tap? Like, because I hear it's painful. And she was like, yeah, we just have to do it to see if there's any blood on her brain. And we were just like, okay. And so they took her away, and then they came back and they were like, yeah, her spinal tap came with blood in the fluid. So that means she has blood in the brain. So we're going to have to take her in an ambulance to another hospital to get like an MRI done and stuff. And so like, I didn't even get to see her again before they took her away. So they took her to another hospital. And then she came back and they were like, yeah, a part of her brain hasn't fully developed. And we're thinking like, that's where the blood is. And so they were like, she's going to have to stay in the NICU. Like, we don't know how long she's going to be in here. And so I was just like, no, my baby cannot stay in it. Like, I need my baby with me. And so I remember like reaching out to a few people, and I know Bridget Cannon, she was telling me, she's like, yeah, my daughter was in a NICU too. She's like, but just, even though you want her with you, just know that she's in the best place that she needs to be right now. And so that was like very comforting. It was like, I had to remind myself like, okay, she's where she needs to be to get the best care, so they can watch over her and stuff. And so I had an emergency C-section. So I actually had to stay in the hospital a little bit longer than they normally let mothers stay. But they would wheel me to the NICU to see her and wheel me back to my room. And if anytime I wanted to see her, they would let me go see her, me and Jerry. But every day I was like praying, like, God, like when I leave the hospital, I want her to come with me. Like, I don't want her to stay. And so I was always asking them questions, like, every morning they would do like this briefing with all the other like doctors and stuff. And I remember one morning I was there and they were doing the briefing and stuff. And I was asking them, like, when can she go home? And they were like, well, we're just still monitoring her to see, and we're giving her like this kind of medicine and this kind of medicine. And, if she can go like 24 hours without.
Yeah, Keppra and phenobarbital.
Yes. How did you remember that? Sheesh. But you can't remember to take out the trash.
Joke.
But yes, that's what it was. And they were like, if she can go like so many hours without having a seizure, they would think about letting her go home. And every day I was just like, Lord, she needs to be home with me when I go. And so I want to say like the last night I was there, we went to see her, and the evening nurse that was there, she was like, well, there is a room that y'all can stay in if y'all want, before they, until they decide whether they're going to let her go or not. And I was like, yes, can we stay there? And so they did, even after I checked out, they did allow us to come back and stay in like this NICU room that was off of, and they brought her in there with us. And we got to feed her. We had to, I was pumping milk or colostrum. I was pumping that to send to the NICU because I was like, this is what she needs. Like, they were giving her formula too, but I was like, no, she needs mommy's milk. Okay. That's how she's going to get better. And so, and we was sending that to her, and she was drinking that. And she was also drinking some of the formula that they sent. So we got to feed her. She got to stay in the room with us. They would still come and check on her ever so often. But she did really good. And so the next day they were like, after they did their rounds, they're like, we think she can go home. And I was like, thank God, because I could not imagine like coming back home without her. So and then after that, we just had to keep going to like this NICU clinic. I do remember like having to like write out when to give her the medicines and stuff, because they were like at different times and different amounts, and we had to like
like every 3 hours, every 6 hours.
Like it was a lot, but she never did have another seizure when she was home. But I was very paranoid for a long time. Anytime I felt her like flinch or move or something, I would be like, oh, is she having a seizure? But she would just be, like moving like a baby. And so And then I think like around Christmas, because she was born in September. So around Christmas, we stayed with our family in South Carolina for a while. And the schedule of the medicine got off, like I got off track with scheduling her medicine. So I went like so many hours without giving her medicine. I was like, oh my God, I didn't give her medicine. And I realized like she still wasn't having seizures or anything. So I kind of like started without the doctor's orders. I kind of started like weaning her off of it. And then when we went back to the doctor, they were like, oh, so you started weaning her off her medicine. I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, that's fine because now we can tell like she doesn't really need it. And we don't have to do another MRI to see like if she needs anything. And then after that, like I want to say like every 6 months, we would go to this NICU clinic and they would like just check her development and stuff. And she was always like off the charts. Like they were like, you know, she's doing great. And even at her last one, when she turned 2, one thing they were concerned about was because of the part of the brain that was underdeveloped, they were concerned about her being able to communicate and her understanding of language. But at her last one, they were like, she's understanding at like a 4 and 5-year-old level. Even though her speech is kind of like, she's not articulating well, but it's okay because she can get speech therapy for that. But her understanding of language and her ability to communicate in other ways is like above her age range. So she's doing great. She's doing great. And I think we gave birth at Women's Hospital and they were great. The staff was great.
Yeah, I would say
everyone that followed up with us that was on her case, I mean, they were great.
Yeah, I would say that even there, like they were very inviting. They even made like a little gamecock, little C for Carolina.
Yeah, because they knew she was named after South.
Yeah, and so they were like some like North Carolina Tar Heel fans, but they were like kind enough to actually put like the Carolina that we know. Be from South Carolina. So I thought that was really cool. I think we still have
that name tag that they made for her.
And one cool thing was like when she I guess left the NICU, they gave her like a little cap,
a little graduation
gown, like she graduated from
NICU. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Now, really quick. Most people associate NICU babies that go into the NICU with being preterm, but Carolina was full term baby.
She was full term. Her due date was like September 14th, but she came September 9th.
Okay.
So she was definitely full term. And she was a big baby. According to the doctor, she weighed 8 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
When she was born, to come like a week before her due date almost. But like I said, I had gestational diabetes, so she loved sugar. And they were like, and even now she loves sweets. So they were like, yeah, she's gonna be a big baby, which the day actually I was supposed to be induced on the 8th, but my water broke that morning.
Wow.
So she was ready to come. She was like, she's coming on her own terms.
Right.
And that she did. Yeah.
Thank y'all for sharing that. Manika, what's your NICU story?
All right. And I'm glad Andrea pointed it out that I listening to their story, I always thought, of course, that NICU meant preterm. And so I was surprised when she said she had a full-term baby and everything. So, but my story is the exact opposite. I went into the hospital at 24 weeks pregnant, and I didn't get out till I was 34 weeks. So I spent almost 2 and a half months in the hospital on bed rest. I was battling fibroids. I had fibroids the size of golf balls. There was about, I had about 7 of them. So they was taking up space in my uterus with her. And also, I found out I had a short cervix. So most women's cervixes are at least 5 centimeters. Mine was half of that, about 2 centimeters. So she was threatening to come early at 24 weeks. So the doctor said to avoid gravity pulling her down, I need to go on bed rest. And I tried to do it at home, but I was in so much pain due to the fibroids that they was like, look, you need to go to the hospital instead. I was at Women's while they were open. So they was like, okay, well, you need to go to the hospital and we're gonna have to keep you. And so every day I'm like, y'all gonna have to keep me till when? It was like, well, we'll just have to monitor you day by day, but you more than likely you're gonna have to stay until she's born. I said, okay. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm just gonna parlay. I'm just gonna lay here and just be, I'm just gonna this is it. I'm just gonna be laying here, have time of my life away from work, So but anyways, like I said, she was also a breech baby. So that's what also kept me in there. But I'm gonna fast forward to when she came, like I said, she came at 34 weeks. And my NICU story was, of course, I had an emergency C-section. And okay, let me try to think of, I'll try to fast forward. I had an emergency C-section. And I mean, when she came, it was such a surprise because I wasn't expecting her to come so soon, because they was telling me, we're gonna induce you at 36 weeks, but 34 weeks, I woke up in the bed and my water was broken. I had just woke up from a nap, and they was like, I was like, I know I just did not pee in the bed. I just did not pee in the bed. And then I got up to use the bathroom and I was trailing water. I said, I called the nurse. She said, Miss Fleming, you're about to be a mother. Your water has broke. So short story short, she came. She was 3 pounds, 10 ounces. After I had an emergency C-section, she came. She was 3 pounds, 10 ounces. I can't, it's like a blur. Everything's just a blur. So she ended up having to stay in the NICU. In the NICU, she was in an incubator. They had to monitor her heart because she had, what is it called? What is it called when your heart is just like irregulated? But she had an irregular heartbeat and a heart murmur. Sorry, so that's what it's called. She had a heart murmur, and of course, with her size, they was trying to make sure she wasn't going to be she wasn't going to be developmentally challenged. So so they had to keep her, and they said, okay, well, she has to stay until she starts eating on her own, and still she starts eating on her own. And there was one more thing they told me she had to do, but with each passing day, I'm telling you, it was like God's grace that she got amazingly better each and every day. And I was so surprised by how fast it took her to reach each milestone. She was out the NICU in 2.5 weeks, and they were expecting her to be in there for a while. So the nurses, like I said, I made friends with being in the hospital almost 2.5 months. I made friends with all the high-risk nurses. And so the NICU nurses see me a lot. I was there day and night. I was grateful that parents were able to come any time of day, anything. I'm telling you, we pulled up at 2 a.m. sometimes. You just got to make sure the nurses was on their job. So we pulled up at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., whenever we felt the need to see her. And every day we prayed to God, like, today is the day. She's going to come home. She's going to come home. And they told me actually she had to get to 5 pounds in order for her to go home. And I think she was like 4 and some change when we brought her home. Everyone was saying, like she said, you progress to this other room. And they say, once you progress to this room is when and you get to keep her, that's when you're going home the next day. So, and that's how it happened. And I remember distinctly being down one time. We went out to eat, and I was down at Cheesecake Factory. I was at the Cheesecake Factory, and the waitress came over to me. She said, what's the matter, So I told her my story, and she was like, girl, your baby is gonna be absolutely fine. She was saying how it's research that African American babies do absolutely amazing in NICU, and that just stuck with me the whole time. It just stuck with me, and I just remember, like, every day going in there, she was perfect. Like, things were progressing. Next thing I know, they took her out the incubator, like, after a week, and she was in the open, I guess you call it an open, I'm not gonna say an open container, but she was open, like, so she didn't need any oxygen and all that extra stuff, breathing tubes and stuff like that. So but yeah, she is now 2 years old and acting like she's 12. So she's doing amazing, and I'm just grateful.
Oh, thank you
Thank you for
that.
sharing that. Wow. I was trying to hold back my tears.
I
started to get emotional with both. I was like, okay, here too soon. Okay.
So I guess Manika, starting with you, like, how did, like, emotionally, like, so I think it's one thing, like, you're like, most people think like, oh well, duh, they're afraid, but can you describe, like, how did you emotionally feel, like, through the different stages that your little one was in there?
I'm telling you, you're gonna go through every emotion there is happiness, sadness, gratefulness. I think at one point I was ashamed. One, not because of my baby being or feeling less than, well, it was a breastfeeding issue that I was having. And I know it's a lot, but I had a breast reduction, and I wasn't able to produce as much milk as I could have or should have. So I just remember breaking down. I don't know if it's the pregnancy, after pregnancy hormones or whatever. I just remember breaking down with the lactation nurse, and she in there crying. I'm in there crying. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't produce any milk. My baby's not going to make it out of here. Like, it was, yes, it was intense. But like I said, you will go through every emotion. During that time, I seen a couple of mothers leave empty-handed. Like, you just, you go in there and you carry this precious life for 9 months, and then then you're greeted at the door with by the chaplain. I've seen it. Like, in the 2 weeks I was there, I've seen it, and it's just the most heartbreaking thing I have ever seen in my life, because these babies are in there fighting for their lives. So yeah, I just remember it was a lot. It's a lot of emotion. And then on top, like I said, I had just spent 2.5 months in there trying to get her to this point. And so yeah, it was just a lot of emotion. But like I said, above all, I was just grateful and thankful, and for the nurses, for 24-hour care for her. That's all I could ask. Like, I've seen a lot of mothers going through it, and I'm just thankful that I'm sad for their situation, but I just prayed for mine, because she was my first child. She is my first child, and I'm like, I can't go through this. I can't go through this. But yeah, and then her dad is very supportive. I'm not a single mother. But yeah, her dad is very supportive. He was there day and night, and we're not together right now. So she's actually over there with him right now. But he was supportive through the whole thing. He'll come. I think usually he got off work at 3 a.m. and he'll be right up there with her, even before he came to the house after they released me. He'll go to the hospital 3 a.m. and then come to the house. But yeah, you will go through every emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And what about you guys? Like, what was the serious emotions that you guys felt?
What do you think?
I mean, like, fear, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
Like she was saying before, like, you go through this journey, and you just hope for the best, and you want to make sure that your child, survives and has like a full life and everything.
Yeah.
And also like a healthy life too. You start worrying a little bit. So, but really, we prayed a lot. We even had our young adult pastor come out there.
Pastor Joe came out.
Pastor Joe come out there and like pray and everything. Just
the chiropractor, Dr. Dave, he was praying for her too.
Yeah. So it really, tests your faith, it tests your like mental endurance. It kind of makes you think of like, what's wrong with me, as well too a little bit. It's like, what did I do? Is there something wrong with me that them and my child have to go through this? So it kind of makes you like self-reflect a little bit, but some things happen, just out the blue. So anything, Victoria? Any emotions?
No, I was just I
know when Victoria saw like all the cables and like nose thing on her head, on her foot, like all those wires connected to her. I know Victoria.
I was
really like.
I was just concerned. I was wondering if she was in pain, and I just didn't want her to be in pain. And I wanted her to know that we were there, and I wanted to feel connected to her. I was very afraid that we wouldn't have a bond because she was in a NICU right afterwards. So like whenever we would go, they would let me do like skin to skin because I was afraid that like we wouldn't have a bond. I was sad that she was in there. And like Jerry said, like, I was just wondering like, okay, what did I do? Like, did I eat something that caused this to happen? Or did I drink something that caused this to happen? Like, because, with Freeman, like he came out and he was just, there was, he didn't have any issues or anything. Like he was, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I put one phone on me and not the other one. Sorry. But, and so with her being our second one, and it was way different from the first experience. So it was just kind of like, okay, and I'm going back to my head, like, okay, what did I eat? What did I eat different that I didn't eat with Freeman? What did I do different that I didn't do with Freeman that I won't do with the next child? Like just trying to do things like that. And it kind of drove me crazy. But some of the women from the church was like, you can't blame yourself. Like, it's just, how kids develop in the womb. Like, it's not a perfect situation. So, but yeah, those are kind of my emotions. But at the same time, I was like very, like, I was holding on to my faith, and I was just like, okay, God, what I want. I need you to make this happen. Okay. Like, she's going to come home. She ain't staying here no week or 2 weeks. Like they told me, she's coming home with me. And so I was just, putting my faith out there. Like, yeah, she's going to come home. So that's it.
So in the first episode, we kind of talked about little angels, if you will, that you maybe encounter in the NICU. So maybe it was like a nurse or a specific doctor. I know you guys mentioned Pastor Joe and the chiropractor, and Manika, you mentioned the lady that came up to you at the restaurant. But is there anyone specific that you guys can think of, like outside of those people during your NICU stay, that really kind of encouraged you during one of those moments where you were, feeling kind of like down or down and out? And then, if so, like, who was that person and how did they encourage you?
I think I mentioned before, but Bridget Cannon, like, I didn't know that her daughter was in a NICU when she was born, but just like some of the things she, commented on my post, because I think I made a post about Carolina being in NICU, and just her, basically saying like, she's in the best place. Like, you want her with you, but she's in the best place to get the best care. Like, so if she has to stay there, just know that that's the place she needs to be. Like, it's not like a punishment or anything. Like, that's where she needs to be. And so that really changed my view of her being in a NICU. Was like, okay, even though I want her with me and I'm her mother, she is in the best place. And so that really stuck with me while she was in there. Was like, they're doing what they have to do to help her, and just let them do what they need to do. So yeah, so that's always stuck with me. What about you?
I can't think of anything like
Okay. What about you?
I know names have escaped me from it. Has been 2.5 years, but I just remember this one nurse. She was a NICU nurse, and I just remember. I think she's actually Facebook friends with Kaylani's father, and I just remember like the first time I walked. When they first opened the incubator, I just remember they had just the little things like she would make sure her hair was tidy. She laid, she just like she had this little tiny pink bow in her hair that when we went to see her, and she just made sure she was clothed every day. I wish I could think of her name. I want to say her name is Tiffany. From the top of her head, and then she was like, "If ever y'all need a babysitter, just I don't know where she's at now, but if you ever need a babysitter, I'm just here for you." I just remember her being there at least three of the 4 nights, or sorry, take that back. She was there at least 3 days out of the week that we usually went to see her. So, but yeah, I just really appreciated her.
Wow. And so on top of that, so like we know that there's just special people who God has sent into our lives during these difficult moments, and y'all have been able to identify them or remember those times. But I think also during the adversity and the things that we're trying to, during this testing of faith, we notice and we realize that we have more endurance than we think. We realize that God is doing something inside of us at the same time while working on our babies. What is one lesson that you learned about yourself throughout this journey? And so let's start with you, Manika.
I'm gonna just say, one lesson I learned is, it's gonna sound crazy, but you really don't know your body until you get pregnant. Like you really don't know your body until you get pregnant, till you're carrying life and actually experiencing that. But what was the question?
You're on the path, but so what's a lesson that you learned about yourself throughout the journey?
Throughout the journey, it's just I'm more stronger than I thought I was. It's just, I mean, like I said, it's just one of those things that you just learn to be more, mentally, physically, better for, if you decide to have another child, So like I said, I wasn't prepared for any of this. I was not prepared. So just being in the mindset, knowing your body, doing your due diligence beforehand, so that if you decide to have another, or if I decide to have another baby, maybe things will be different. So that's what I learned.
Okay. What about y'all, Jerry and Victoria?
I would say one thing I learned was don't take anything for granted. And I know like we had our first child, Freeman, like 2 years prior, and I mean, even though it was like still a cesarean section, it was still like a different process. It wasn't like, oh, well, we had one baby, next one's gonna be exactly the same, all fine. It's just like you have to be prepared. I mean, you have to be ready, and just, I mean, still be supportive. Like, just don't think that everything is gonna be, I guess, the same way each time, I would say. So yeah,
and I think I learned that I can only do so much. Like, I carried her and gave birth to her. That's all I could do. And I have to let like them, even though she's a baby, I had to let her like, kind of like build her strength and grow and develop once she was out of the womb. And I had to trust and believe that God was with her and that, you know, she was, you know, she could do it. And it's kind of something I've carried over into like motherhood with my kids. I can only do so much. I have to just kind of let them learn and develop and make their own mistakes and stuff. And I know Jerry hates it, but but I mean, that's what I learned. It's like, I can only do so much. And I have to give them the space to grow and to do things, you know, to develop on their own. So.
Love it. So did you have, because last time I took most of the questions.
He
so
got
I want to
really
make
happy.
sure.
He was really
I want to make sure that I'm distributing the questions.
yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So actually I had it written down. Let's see. So I guess while I'm looking for this, so I remember when we were there and like kind of like the ending process, like coming towards the end where we had the room and all that other stuff. Everyone I think on here was at the Women's Hospital Cone. And so there was a little room that you could stay in and everything with the baby. And so what was y'all's thought like the night before? Like, because Lily was super small. And so I just remember holding her like, oh Jesus, like we got to put her like, where's
like
nurse?
even the preemie clothes were too big.
It was too big.
Oh,
Nurse Teresa would be like, yeah, it's gonna be okay. She taught us how to swaddle and all that stuff. And so what was like that, like what was your thought process when you were like, oh, I'm gonna have to take my baby home?
Yeah, because I think that everyone is similar in that like each of our children kind of either, you know, were on medicine or they were kind of like, it was like that last little like test, like, okay, like you guys can make it in this room the night before. Your car seat test. Yeah, like then so what was your question?
Yeah, like so how did, like, what was your thoughts during that last night that you were there? Before you took them home?
Yeah.
So I would say Victoria was ready to take the baby home like the day before, but myself, like I am, like my mindset is like, make sure we have everything together, make sure we're prepared, make sure you're ready. And so I'm out.
There she is. That's our NICU baby right there.
All right.
What do you need?
I thought you were asleep, little baby. Okay.
Yes, you're Carolina. You want to say hello? And then you have to go back to bed.
Okay.
I love it.
Say hello.
I love it. Hey, Carolina. Look at those pretty beads. Look at that. She's so cute.
Okay.
All right, you said hello. Now it's time to go back to bed.
Say night night.
What do you need?
Okay. All right. Give me a little bit, okay? You take your daddy come on.
She wants daddy to come on.
Oh. But so I guess so Victoria, you already answered, right?
Well, she was ready, but I think
Jerry was like, he just wanted to make sure we had everything in place to bring her home. And I was like, dude, we done already did this with one kid. Like, we're good. Like, I'm just ready to take her home. Like, tell me what medicine she needs, where I need to go get it. And I'm ready to take her home. But I do know that night I was kind of nervous. I didn't sleep well because I just wanted to make sure that she was still good, you know, that she wasn't having seizures and stuff. And like I said, I was still paranoid even after we brought her home because she slept in a bassinet, but then sometimes I would co-sleep. And so if I felt her like moving or anything, I was just like, I would like stare at her for like a minute, like seeing like, okay, is this a seizure or is she just moving around? And sometimes I still do it because she'll like climb in our bed and she snuggles really, really close to me. And then if I feel her like moving rhythmically at all, I'm like, oh my God. And I'll look at her and then she'll just be like, hi, mommy. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're going to give me a heart attack, even though it's like 3 years later. So, yeah, but I was ready, but Jerry was just kind of like, okay, we just got to make sure that like, you know, we got everything and it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, we've done this one time before. We're good. Let's go. So.
And so, Manika, were you the same way? Were you kind of like, hey, I'm ready? Or what was your thoughts?
I was ready for her to come home, but also, like I said, she was my first child, so I was very apprehensive. I was like, oh God. Of course, like I said, when you build up to the car seat, I told you it's steps, it's levels to this thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
when you get to the car seat, you like, okay, we made it. We are about to go home. I just remember her being so tiny. I wish I could pull up the picture, but I just remember her being so tiny, and they had to wrap like
blankets
around just to keep her in there. And we taking her home, everybody looking like this baby.
Because they're like, yeah, just bring 4 receiving blankets.
Right. Took all the blankets. But yes, that was the most. And then I just remember I think we went in about 1 o'clock that afternoon, when it was the day before we was about to take her home. And he was her father was there for probably like an hour or two, making sure we got adjusted. And then he had to go to work. So I'm like, oh God, I'm in here by myself with this baby. And they check on you, but they don't. So it's just like, oh God, what I do now? So I was just so nervous. I was so nervous. But we made it. We made it. I'm telling you, you just don't know what you're capable of till you're in the situation.
Right.
So I was just happy about that. Just happy to, she got in her little car seat and just came home. Yeah.
I love it. And so now we're closing towards the end and everything, but I felt like this question was very important last time. And we'll start with you, Manika. If you can give one piece of advice to a parent who's going through what God has already brought you through, what piece of advice would that be?
I have several.
Okay, go for it.
Most of all is just, like I said, give it to God. Like, give it to God. You remain positive. Ask all the questions you can. Any and everything even stuff that you think is irrelevant, ask it. Make sure you get in as much cuddle time as possible, skin to skin. That's very important. And just surround your baby with love until they come on up out of there, and they will.
And for you, Victoria, same question. So someone's going through it right now. What piece of advice would you give?
I definitely say keep the faith. Don't Google anything regarding the situation. Do not Google. And I echo her sentiments about, cuddle as much as you can, do skin to skin. If you can pump, milk or colostrum, do that. Do it often. Send as much as you can down there. And just, make sure you're present. Like, it's not the time to shy away from the baby or, to distance yourself. Like, be there as much as you can, talk to them, read to them, sing to them, whatever you got to do so that they'll hear you, because you can still have that bond. Like, Carolina is a mommy's girl. Like, she loves to be around me. And that was my fear, was that we wouldn't have a bond because she was in NICU. So but every time we went, I was talking to her, I was touching her, and just making sure she knew mommy was there and who mommy is. So,
and Jerry, question for you. Someone who's going through it right now, like what you guys have already been through and overcome, what piece of advice would you give to them?
Know that babies are resilient. They are tougher than we give them credit sometimes. I mean, babies are very resilient, even though they may seem very fragile and just not used to the world and everything. I mean, they're strong. I mean, they went through something very traumatic as well too, and so babies are very strong.
Oh, I'll add one more thing. Utilize the resources they give you. because I know I did feel overwhelmed at one time because they were introducing all these people to us. And I was just like, I don't remember who's from what place or whatever, but I was like, we're going to use it, like whatever they give us. Like, yeah, somebody needs to come in once a week and take a look at her. Sure, bring them in. Somebody wants to come once a month and take her vitals. Yes, please do. Like, utilize all the resources they give you to give your child the very best opportunity of surviving and thriving outside of the NICU as well.
Yeah, because even like while we were there, like a lot of people were coming up and talking to us. But like even after like the follow-up meetings, like those are very helpful.
Yes.
So
thank y'all. Their follow-up is actually really
yeah. I saw them I think they reached out recently. We ended up donating some of Lily's old preemie clothes to them, and they were just like, "How's she doing? Can we see her?" And I was like, so yeah,
they were amazing.
That was really good advice.
So thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
First off, like, thank you for your transparency. Thank you for just being willing to share your story. There's so many people who I really hope that this video, and I'm believing, I'm trusting God that this video is going to impact the people who it needs to impact. And most importantly, people who are going through it. And like all of us on this video now, who, we didn't quite know the answers or know exactly what's what. I believe this kind of stands in the gap in a sense, and it gives reassurance, and it gives like the information. While it's not medical information, y'all, it is really practical information from people who've already went through it. So thank you for just your transparency. We're gonna close it out. Did you wanna?
No.
Okay. All right. So if you're watching, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. In the bottom in the comments area, just make sure you drop questions or anything. Before we go, I almost forgot.
Oh, and also, if you guys are open to answering any questions in the comments,
yes,
you guys feel free to comment. And
okay, great.
Yeah.
But also businesses,
where they can find you, where they can follow your beautiful family,
yes,
all that stuff.
If you don't mind sharing that,
your social.
Yeah, y'all want us to put in the comments or share it right now?
Share it right now.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, so like I said, I'm a real estate agent with Elevation Realty, Victoria L. Davis. You might see my car, have my name and stuff on the back of my car. But I have a Facebook page. I think it's Victoria L. Davis Realtor. I think that's what it is. But the company I'm with is Elevation Realty. You can find me there. My Instagram handle is VLDavis32. And my cell phone number is 336-447-8681. And that's it for me, I guess.
Yeah. Instagram pictures.
Huh?
Instagram pictures of the family and stuff.
Yeah, I do have them on my Instagram.
Okay. And Jerry, you got
do you have social?
You got
social media?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, Facebook, Jerry M. Davis. I have I guess like a videographer YouTube channel at JD Visions Videography. So yeah, that's me right there.
And Manika.
That's really good. Manika Fleming on Facebook. I'm open to any questions, any, and I actually have a real story. I actually was helping or coaching a girl that was in the NICU. She, her baby was born at 24 weeks, 25 weeks. She's actually about to be 2. So I actually have coached her, while she was in the NICU. She asked me plenty of questions, and so I have a little bit of experience. So no,
we need to bring her on.
What you say?
So we might need to bring her on.
You know what? That was a good idea, and I know she would probably be willing to talk about it.
Okay,
that is awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Instagram. Where can I find your Instagram?
Yeah, I might not want to follow.
Wait, so everybody's
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
They're not ready to what is it called? A Finsta? What do the kids have nowadays? You got your Instagram.
Oh, yeah,
your
account.
Instagram,
I
your
have one of those, but
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I'm down with
You know, oh yeah, it's a fake. What is the fake account?
Yeah.
But you can
okay.
follow me. My name up there is Straight Meek, no chaser. So
I know
I'm
that's
no chaser. So you can definitely follow me up there.
Perfect. So again, guys, make sure you go love on them, ask any questions in our comments or go follow them. And again, thank you for your time, guys, for just
For the invite.
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And
Yeah, thank you for having us.
absolutely. And so as always, guys, we love you and we thank you for watching and peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
So